Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Perfect. Okay. We apologize for the audio difficulties. Had to fix my audio, and thankfully I was able to. So, MF, did you give your thoughts on the All Star weekend, or did you just sit here?
I just sat here the whole time. No, honestly, for All Star Weekend, look, 3-point shooting. I called for Damian Lillard. I got it. I'm happy about that. Slam dunk. I'm a little surprised with the way that went down. I thought they did an incredible job. I really got nothing more to say. It was fine. It was good for what it was worth. As far as the game goes, I wasn't as thrilled or anything about it. I thought it was boring. Um, the game was fine. Jason Tatum had a performance of a lifetime. One other guy who I got to give a lot of credit to that I thought was really good, um, Donovan Mitchell. I thought he had an incredible All Star game to say the very least. As far as the All Star altogether, yeah, not bad. It was pretty good. Um, it could have been better in certain areas, but hey, there's really nothing more to say. Yeah, so with that said, Anthony, it's yours.
Okay. Let's get into some coaching hires in the NFL. Let's start it off with the new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. His name is Jonathan Gannon. He previously served as an assistant coach for the Atlanta Falcons, Tennessee Titans, Minnesota Vikings, Indianapolis Colts, and Philadelphia Eagles. Um, he was a student assistant at Louisville from 2003 to 2005, a graduate assistant also at Louisville in 2006, defensive quality control coach in 2007 with the Atlanta Falcons, defensive quality control coach for the Tennessee Titans from 2012 to 2013, assistant defensive backs coach from the Minnesota Vikings 2014 to 17, defensive backs coach for the Indianapolis Colts 2018 to 2020. The last couple of years, 2021 and 2022, was the defensive coordinator of the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles and is now the new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. 2 days after he lost Super Bowl 57, he was hired by the Arizona Cardinals 9 days ago. We'll find out how that goes when all is said and done. Um, let me get some more before I give it to MF. He signed a 5-year contract, and um, Cardinals owner Michael Bidwell announced prior to Super Bowl 57 that the franchise would pause its head coaching search until after the game. And once the Cardinals recommenced their search, they wasted no time tabbing Gannon to be the franchise's next leader. Gannon and the Eagles lost to the Kansas. The Eagles defense led the NFL in sacks with 70 during the regular season, had 8 more in the 3 playoff games. Gannon's unit gave up the second fewest in the NFL last season, ranking 7th in points allowed. He has no previous experience as a head coach, even though he's been coaching in the NFL since 2007, working with 6 teams during that span, including 3 years as a pro and college scout with the St. Louis Rams from 2009 to 2011. Gannon was hired to the post of Eagles defensive coordinator when Nick Sirianni was named head coach in 2021. Arizona had previously interviewed several candidates to replace former head coach Cliff Kingsbury, who was let go following the Cardinals' 4-13 campaign. But the majority of those candidates either took other jobs or took themselves out of the running. And I'll have more into that in a moment. So with all that, I'll get into the rest of this, into the rest of the schematics in a little bit. So, I don't know much about the guy, but with John Gannon, the new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, replacing Kingsbury, no head coaching experience. Is that previous coaching experience at some sort of assistant or coordinator with 6 other teams? Hopefully that'll come in handy for him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Again, one of these unknown coaches, and Anthony, you absolutely are correct about that. I don't know much about him either. This was the first time that I heard about him, but I do know that he was an assistant for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that definitely was one of the main reasons why that they were looking at it. He is a defensive minded coach. That means that's something that maybe it's something that they thought about heading into the upcoming season for him. Is that with the team that they have, maybe that you could see him be like a Bill Belichick. Focus mainly on the defense but get a really good offensive minded offensive coordinator that would mainly focus on Kyler Murray, that receiving core, and everything else that they're going to really need to do to make this thing successful going into the upcoming season. Other than that, I just don't know how it's going to play out. We'll wait and see how it goes. But, you know, being in the NFC West, other than certain teams or certain situations, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But I really believe that it could go a number of ways. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Okay. All right, waiting for my thing to load here. Okay, here we go. Um, so the move obviously came 2 days after the Eagles lost, devastating loss in Super Bowl 57 to the Kansas City Chiefs. Gannon's defense gave up 24 second half points and letting a 10-point halftime advantage slip away. He beat out the previous two finalists, there were two other finalists. They were Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo and New York Giants offensive. He had been the Eagles defensive coordinator for the last 2 seasons and immediately made an impact, turned Philadelphia into a top 10 defense in his first year. And this season, the Eagles ranked number 2 in the league while boasting 2 Pro Bowlers. Philly went from allowing 26 points a game, which was 20th in the league in 2020, the year before Gannon was hired, to 22.7, which was 18th, and 20.2 this past year, which was 8th. And the Eagles' 78 sacks combined were the third most in a season, including playoffs. He replaces Cliff Kingsbury, who was fired in January after he went 28, 37, and 1 with 1 playoff appearance in 4 seasons, and becomes the Cardinals' 4th head coach in 7 years. He inherits a roster set for an overhaul, with 31 players expected to become unrestricted free agents. And the last time a Super Bowl participant lost both of its coordinators in the same offseason after the 2016 season, when the Atlanta Falcons lost offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan, who became the San Francisco 49ers coach, and then fired defensive coordinator Richard Smith, who later took a job as the Chargers linebackers coach. And those changes came after the Falcons blew the infamous 28-3 lead for a 28 overtime loss to New England in Super Bowl 51, which to this day is still the greatest Super Bowl ever. Last Super Bowl team to lose both coordinators to head coaching jobs were the 1994 San Francisco 49ers. Mike Shanahan was hired by the Denver Broncos, and Ray Rhodes was hired by the Philadelphia Eagles, according to NFL research. Michael Bidwell, the owner, hired Gannon after being connected to 8 other candidates, including the likes of Sean Payton, Brian Flores, and Dan Quinn. Arizona coming off a 4-13 season. Since reaching the NFC Championship game in 2015, the Cardinals have made only 1 playoff appearance, a wild card loss to the eventual Super Bowl champion LA Rams after the 2021 season. So that's the story when it comes to Jonathan Gannon. Um, it's going to be very interesting to see how he interacts with the likes of Kyler Murray and and um, and DeAndre Hopkins and the rest of the Cardinal team. Of course, J.J. Watt retired, so it's going to be interesting to see how this team comes together. But it is what it is. So wish him the best. And speaking of Eagles coordinators, the other coordinator that left, Shane Steichen, he is now the new head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Shane Steichen, the Indianapolis Colts, not because of what he has accomplished, but because of what he could potentially do to stabilize Indianapolis at the games. The former Eagles offensive coordinator, who was named the Colts' new coach on the same day that Gannon was named in Arizona last Tuesday, Valentine's Day, presented Indianapolis with a detailed plan for addressing the quarterback position, with the Colts poised to select one of the top college prospects in the upcoming NFL draft, perhaps even Alabama's Bryce Young. Colts had one of the NFL's poorest offenses in 2022, ranking 30th in scoring, 17 points a game, 27th in QBR, 36.8, and 30th in yards per play at 4.8. The hope is that Steichen can replicate some of his past success, such as the passing attack he developed with the LA Chargers in 2020, and the multifaceted approach he displayed with the Eagles the last 2 seasons. The Colts have gone to some lengths to downplay their intentions heading into the draft, but it remains a very poorly kept secret that they are looking to resolve their years-long quarterback issues after having different Week 1 starters each of the last 5 seasons. Steichen is here largely to help them navigate that. As one team source told ESPN, Steichen has some quote-unquote mad scientists to him and offered a specific blueprint for how to develop a young quarterback. That, in particular, scored points with the Colts brass. The versatility of Steichen's scheme, the source said, will allow the Colts to take an open-minded approach to drafting a quarterback if they choose to do so, rather than limiting their options to quarterbacks who specifically fit their scheme. Steichen outlined what he will personally be seeking in a quarterback. I think accuracy, decision-making, and the ability to create are the three things that I look at in a quarterback. I think those three things are very important, but the above the neck, the players that I've been around, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Phillip Rivers, they all have one thing. They're obsessed with their craft. And if you can find that in a quarterback, you're probably going to have some success. The Colts might just have found a quarterback who checks those boxes in Bryce Young. Do you trade up? There's so many things you can do, said Colts owner Jim Irsay. The Eagles took Jalen Hurts in the second round, although the Alabama guy doesn't look bad, I tell you. The Colts currently have the 4th overall pick, but have been widely speculated as a team that might trade up in the draft. Young could well be the top pick in April. Hurts, who amassed 374 total yards of offense and a brilliant performance in the Super Bowl, pointed to Steichen as a huge factor in his success. When it comes to filling out the rest of his coaching staff, Steichen withheld any specific. I apologize. I got a pop-up video here. Commercial. Okay. I apologize for that once again. Okay. Like I said, when it comes to filling out the rest of his coaching staff, Steichen withheld any specific answers on his plans, but the Colts have been barring their defensive coaches from interviews for positions elsewhere because multiple head coaching candidates interviewed by the team had interest in keeping them. Defensive coordinator Gus Bradley overlapped with Steichen with the Chargers, as did several other members of the defensive staff. Most of those defensive staffers were in the room for Steichen's introductory news conference at Colts headquarters. The finalists who made the biggest impressions on the Colts outside of Steichen, according to a team source, included LA Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris, New Carolina Panthers defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero, Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan, and Detroit Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. Jeff Saturday, who was a surprise hire as interim head coach for the final 8 games of last season, was among the candidates who received a follow-up interview, but there was minimal momentum to offer him the permanent role by the end of the process. Saturday, as interim head coach, went 1-7 in those 8 games. And Jeff Saturday posted a video to the tenure, a video saying it was an absolute blessing. I look fondly upon it. Wish we could have done better, but that's ultimately where it is. I want to wish Coach Steichen the best of luck. I'm still a huge Colts fan and pulling for you guys. Looking forward to hoisting some Lombardi trophies and excited for your opportunity. Yeah, about that. Sorry. Don't see that happening. Saturday was initially speculated to be a front runner for the job because of Irsay's well-known affection for him, but the poor results last season and the positions of Ballard and others in the organization likely undermined his chances. A handful of Colts fans started an online petition to persuade the team to hire someone else, an event Saturday made light of. He said to everybody out there, including the however many thousand who signed the petition, he said, which may have included my wife and son, not exactly sure in all honesty, for the you are. Colts the absolute best in his new role, and we'll see if he can turn the Colts' fortunes around. And if they get Bryce Young, that'll definitely be a start. That'll be a step in the right direction. But we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. So best of luck to Shane Steichen in his new role. So MF, how about it? In the same day, the Eagles defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon goes to Arizona. now the offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, now the head coach of Indianapolis. What are the odds of that happening in the same day?
Yeah, not very often. But the Shane Steichen was actually rumored well before what was going to happen in the other side. Steichen was actually being cornered by Indianapolis, and this was actually about to be the unofficial call. What actually was coming out that uh, days before the Super Bowl that Steichen was interviewed by the team, got the okay by the Eagles to interview, and that basically a couple of days before the Super Bowl, Indy had made an announcement that they were no longer doing a coaching search, and that it was the Monday after the game was when we found out that Steichen had gotten the job. But this was actually rumored even before um, that Steichen was about to become the new head coach for Indy. How's that going to play out? I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch. But other than that, we'll have to wait and see. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, and now we're going to stay with the football theme. And, you know, even though we had this show a few years ago, we never addressed it. But then again, COVID put an end to it, unfortunately. But we're going to get into it this time around, and that is the XFL. The XFL has returned, and let's quickly go through what happened last week here. Um, check the XFL scoreboard from last week. It started last Saturday afternoon at the stadium formerly known as the ballpark in Arlington. Remember the old ballpark in Arlington where the Texas Rangers used to play for many years in the 90s and then the 2000s. I believe that's where they were playing when they went on those two surprise runs to the World Series in 2010 and 11. That stadium is home to the what's known as the Arlington Renegades, and by Bob Stoops. Yes, that Bob Stoops, who took Oklahoma to
Mm,
the championship in 2000. So, um, so let's get it on here. Um, it started with the Vegas Vipers squaring off against the Arlington Renegades, and the Arlington Renegades won the game by a score of 22-20. And then in the second game on Saturday in prime time, it was the Orlando Guardians squaring off against the Houston Roughnecks at TDECU Stadium in Houston, and it was all Houston. They absolutely manhandled the Orlando Guardians 33-12. And then on Sunday at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, we had the San Antonio Brahmas hosting the St. Louis Battlehawks, and the St. Louis Battlehawks came back from down big very late and came all the way back and won 18-15. And then in the final game, the Seattle Sea Dragons went up against the DC Defenders. I believe they play at Audi Field, and the DC Defenders defeated the Seattle Sea Dragons by a score of 22-18. So, so that's what happened last weekend, and we actually have, believe it or not, we actually have a game in progress right now, and it's over on
mm,
F, and it's on FX, and well, it's in a commercial break right now, but yeah, this, and believe it or not, this is only one of two Thursday night games. There's going to be only one other Thursday night game in the XFL, and that's not going to be for another couple of weeks, or it might be next week or something like that. But it's going to be sometime next month. I know that for sure. And the Seattle will also play, so, uh, yeah, I mean, um, yeah, uh, they're going to be playing. whenever they get and their home games will for St. Louis will be played at the Dome at American Center in St. Louis. That's where the St. Louis Rams used to play when they were there, and that was also the same venue that hosted the 2022 Royal Rumble early last year. So, so the game's in a commercial break right now. So I'm awaiting the commercial break to end. The game's
It's
FX. So
yeah. So it's right now 12-11. Seattle Sea Dragons ahead. With 10:08 remaining in the game.
okay, so 12-11.
Yep.
Yep,
12-11. Seattle ahead with
home team.
10:08 remaining in the game.
Okay, and the commercial break is looks like it's about to wrap up here. So okay, um, yep. So that's what we have right here. So we'll keep an eye out for it. We'll keep an eye out if anything significant happens. So we'll let you know. So St. Louis comes into the game 1-0, Seattle 0-1. So so with that, let's get into the other games here. Yes. All right. So so St. Louis has the ball now. So we'll keep an eye out on that. So okay. So just want to make sure I have it in the proper order. You know me, chronological order, of course. All right. Next game will be Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. It'll also be on FX, and it'll feature the DC Defenders squaring off against the Vegas Vipers. And Vegas actually plays in a very small, little, tiny soccer stadium with a seating capacity of only 12,500. All these other stadiums, I think their capacities are a lot bigger. So they have the smallest stadium in the league. So MF, I want to make sure you're aware of that. So all right, Cashman Field, that's the name of the stadium. And this game will be over on FX, like I mentioned earlier. And all right, so let's get into this matchup. The Defenders against the Vipers. All right. The Seattle Sea Dragons by a score of 22-18 in week one, thanks to cornerback Michael Joseph's pair of interceptions. Meanwhile, the Vipers couldn't hold on to a second half lead in a 22-20 loss to the Arlington Renegades after quarterback Luis Perez threw two interceptions. Vegas opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. The crowd at Audi Field was crazy on Sunday night, and that intensity certainly helped the Defenders come back from an 18-8 deficit to win the game. DC's defense was unstoppable in the second half as it constantly harassed quarterback Ben DiNucci, which led to two interceptions and a lost fumble. That defense has its hands full again this weekend, as the Vipers accounted for 261 total yards in week one. Perez threw three touchdowns and almost tied the game up on a 2-point conversion attempt. His inaccuracy ended up costing Vegas when the game was on the line, though. This is a great opportunity for Perez to bounce back. The Defenders gave up 331 total yards to the Sea Dragons last week, and their inability to get off the field was overlooked with a few takeaways. As long as Perez finds the open man and throws the ball when necessary, he will be the winning quarterback. So I'm actually going to go with Vegas to win this game. My final score, I'm going to say 23-19. The Vegas Vipers defeat the DC Defenders. So so with that being said, MF, while I rustle up the rest of the schematics here, DC and Vegas on Saturday night, Cashman Field in Vegas, the lowest seating capacity of any XFL.
Yeah, no, this is going to be an interesting matchup. I kind of feel like the way that the XFL is designed, I kind of feel like the home team is going to be the one that the benefits. I don't think there has been much in the way of losses, especially on that realm or that part of of the thing. So I don't know. I think I kind of feel like it's going to be very interesting to watch, to say the very least. And we'll wait and see how it goes. But yeah, this is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a good game. And I'm going to go with Vegas as well. I think Vegas wins as well. So Florio, it's yours.
St. Louis has just scored a touchdown. A 44-yard bomb to a Hakeem Butler to give the against. They've gone up now 17-12, 7:08 remaining, and just to set the table here, it's a 10-week regular season. Start April, early May. I do know the championship game 13th from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. So who's there? All right, St. Louis going for two. McCarron to Butler. No, incomplete. He almost got it, but just slipped out of the hands there. So 17-12 St. regulation. We'll keep an eye on it as it progresses. So, all right, MF, let me set you up for the next matchup here. Doubleheader on Sunday. This first game will be at 4 p.m. over on ES, as it will feature a battle of winless teams. The Orlando Guardians squaring off against the San Antonio Brahmas, the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Of course, this year's Royal Rumble was just there last month. So yeah. Let me set it up here for week number 2. Yeah, Orlando and San Antonio. Okay. All right, just waiting for my notes to load here. All right. Oh, actually, I stand corrected. It's San Antonio at Orlando. This game's not at the Antonio. It's actually in Orlando. It's going to be at Camping World Stadium, formerly the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. And San Antonio opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. And MF, last week, both teams failed to register a win. A fourth quarter defensive collapse saw the Brahmas fall 18-15 to the St. Louis Battlehawks. Meanwhile, the Guardians were on the wrong side of a 33-12 beatdown in a matchup against the Houston Roughnecks. So something has to give, MF. Who's gonna score the first win, and who's gonna unfortunately fall to 0-2?
Yeah, no, this was going to be an interesting matchup too. The way I feel like especially after the first game, like you said, the Roughnecks just did not show. The Guardians, I should say, did not show in that first game. They just absolutely got manhandled. They got dominated early and often, and it was one of those kind of games where you kind of were wondering, you're like, what the heck happened? How did that just go as wayward as it did? But sometimes when you're really new, and plus they had 5 weeks just to get ready for the XFL. I mean, it was a very fast training camp. They didn't really get that much time to work together. Where the Brahmas, really, it was unfortunate what happened to them. They had that game in hand. They were well on their way to victory. And then because of these rules in the XFL, especially with 2 minutes or less, they got victimized. St. Louis absolutely battled back, got the opening they needed, got the touchdown, got a 3-point conversion. Oh, by the way, in the XFL, there's 3-point differentials you can get. 1 point from 2 yards out, 2 points from 5 yards out, 3 points from 10 yards out, and it's not a kick. You gotta play it line of scrimmage, and they got the 3-pointer. Then in the XFL, they have what they call a 4th and 15 play. Basically, you get the ball from the 25-yard line, and you got to do one scrimmage play 4th and 15. If you get the first down, if you get the first down, you keep possession. And St. Louis got 22 yards out of that play. And the next thing you know, they moved it downfield and got the game winning score. So, yeah, very unfortunate for the Brahmas, but I do believe they'll bounce back. I loved what they saw. They just couldn't finish it. They played great for 58 minutes, but then fell apart the final two. They're not going to do that. I think they'll get the job done. They'll win this game. They'll go on the road and get the avenged loss. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Okay. There wasn't much to like about the Guardians' performance on either side of the ball last week. A big part of why they gave up 33 points is that they allowed 4 offensive touchdowns. The fact that they only scored 6 points through the first 3 quarters made it even harder to erase any deficit in front of them. Were the Brahmas perfect in their loss? Of course not, but their defense was still impressive, as they held the Battlehawks to just 3 points up until the fourth quarter. If they can replicate that performance again on Sunday, I'm sure that the Brahmas can take advantage of the Guardians' struggles. At the end of the day, I'm going with the team that looked better last week, and that happens to be the Brahmas. So I'm going with San Antonio to win this game. My final score, 20-14. San Antonio knocks off Orlando. So, all right. In the game that you're watching right now, St. Louis and Seattle, it's on FX. You have Lowell Galindo, Sam Acho, Ian Fitzsimmons, and Taylor McGregor. For the DC Vegas game, it'll be John Schriffen, Tom Luganbill, Harry Douglas, and Stormy Bonantoni. For the San Antonio Orlando game, it'll be Tom Hart, Greg McElroy, Cole Kubelik, and Don Davenport. And our final game of the week, and of course, MF, you know how we always do it like we do with the NFL. If we go by the records, this final game of week number 2 just happens to be the game of the week, because we got a battle of 1-0 teams, as it will be the Arlington Renegades squaring off against the Houston Roughnecks, TD ECU Stadium on the campus of the University of Houston. And on the call for that game and that game will be on ESPN2. The San Antonio Orlando game on Sunday, ESPN, 4:00. St. Louis going for a 50-yard field goal, and they got it. So actually, no, it's no good. I thought he got it. Apparently, it's they said it was no good. It must have.
It came up short. He missed it short.
Yeah. Anyways, getting back to Arlington and Houston, it'll be Matt Berry, Joey Galloway, Eric McLean, and Tiffany Blackman. They will have the call of that one. A battle of two great coaches. I think it doinked off that bottom crossbar. That's what it looks like here. He did miss it.
He missed it by a couple, like at least by a yard or two, because it came up. He had the distance, he had the length, just not enough on the
And big play here for Seattle. Look out. Yeah, we got a bit of a red zone alert here. Seattle going on an immediate drive here. Gordon with the catch here. We're under 3 minutes to go in regulation.
And by the way, just to let you guys know, that Gordon, that's Josh Gordon, the one-time superstar. Yeah. Okay. Pro Bowler and superstar.
How about that? 33 yards on that reception. So Seattle already off to a hot start on this drive. So we'll see what happens. That was a gain of 33. So setting up for the quote-unquote game of the week for the XFL, Arlington and Houston. Great coaches, Bob Stoops for Arlington, and Wade Phillips. Yes, that Wade Phillips, who was at one time the head coach of my Buffalo Bills. You remember, I believe he was the one who succeeded Marv Levy. So, and Wade Phillips had several other coaching stops. So there you go. And it is Houston opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. Each team coming off a week 1 win. Renegades narrowly edged the Vegas Vipers with a come from behind 22-20 win at the old ballpark in Arlington. And the Roughnecks offense was firing at will and at all cylinders in their 33-12 blowout win over the Orlando Guardians. Houston, 3.5-point favorite, and it's hard to doubt the Roughnecks ahead of this matchup. After all, they have yet to lose an XFL competition, going 6-0 dating back to the 2020 season. Their offense also couldn't be contained by the Guardians, resulting in a pair of passing touchdowns as well as 2 on the ground. Even though the Renegades were victorious last week, I didn't like the fact that they got off to a slow start, only recording 1 field goal in the first half. The team also generated only 255 total yards, which is not exactly inspiring, especially when they're about to go head-to-head with an Roughnecks. At the end of the day, the Renegades are in too deep this week. I got to go with the Houston Roughnecks, and I know it may be a little bit early on my end, but I think this is the team to beat in the XFL. I would not be surprised if this team ends up winning it all in San Antonio on May 13th. This is the team I'm riding with. To be honest, I was leaning more towards the Orlando Guardians because they were formerly the New York Guardians, but they moved them to Orlando. And then when I heard Wade Phillips was coaching Houston and considering his ties to Buffalo, I'm thinking that I think I should be a Houston Roughnecks fan. So, and I think I might have the team to beat here because of it. So, but I'm going with Houston. I think the Renegades might give them a little bit of some fits, but I think Houston will pull away here. I'm going to say 27-21. I'm going to say Houston defeats Arlington in what would in our by our standards, MF. This is the game of the week because we got a battle of 1-0s here and 2 legendary coaches, Bob Stoops and Wade Phillips. What a matchup that's going to be at TDECU on Sunday night.
Yeah, that's gonna give us the look and the feel and the battle. So yeah, no, without a doubt, it's gonna be a very interesting matchup. It's gonna be a fun matchup to say the very least. And yeah, I think we're gonna have ourselves a heck of a game. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. And Anthony, I give it to you.
All right,
And oh, by the way, I actually do have Houston as well winning as well.
All right, very good. By the way, I like I said, MF, I think Houston is the team to beat right now.
Agreed.
I think they could be the team that easily walks away with it come May 13th when they have the championship. So, all right, so I think we're going to make this a thing. I think we'll make this a thing each and every week going forward. So at least we'll have a little something, even if this ends up being the only thing we do.
Yeah,
But it depends
because
on content.
it always depends on content, but just like with the big three, and plus, you know what, I kind of feel like I kind of felt like when they did this a couple of years ago, if it wasn't for the COVID, I
Oh,
think
we would have done it.
XFL would have succeeded because they had everything that it needed it to be. Now they tinkered with it a little bit, but I still believe that this XFL will be a success. Plus, it has the backing of the NFL. That's huge because they got the NFL's backing, so the NFL is working with them on a side by side thing where some of the rules, some of the stuff that they're looking at, we might eventually see in the NFL, especially the replay. Oh my God, please, NFL, bring this replay system to your league because I'm going to say it, Dean Blandino and the guys from the XFL, they have done a masterful job when it
Agreed.
comes to the replay system. There is no controversy. There's no nothing to go inside that command center to see, to hear Dean Blandino, to feel it, to see what he sees, to him communicating with the referees. That is what we need in the game. Transparency. And they did
Yes.
it with the XFL. I commend Danny Garcia. I commend Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And I commend the XFL as a whole for getting this right.
NCAA tournament bracket would look like at the at that exact moment as of right now. And they did it. It was like you can consider this like a mini selection show, like a preview of what we can expect on the selection show come March 12th. And we are aiming to do another live broadcast of that, like we've been doing the last couple of years. So I'm hopeful that MF will not have any work commitments.
As of right now, normally Sundays are my days off. So as long as I don't get bamboozled here, I should actually be available for the selection special.
Very good. And that'll be at 6 o'clock on a very special start time, 6 o'clock on 6 p.m. on Sunday, March 12th. Our annual Selection Sunday special, the first under the TXN Sports World banner. So looking forward to that. So, no, yes, there will be tournament coverage like there always is. Maybe some bonus commentary if all goes well. So, all right, let's get into preview. Number one overall seed, and I'm not kidding you when I say this, and you're probably saying, "Are you sure you're not watching a football thing here?" No, this is not football. This is hoops. It's the Alabama Crimson Tide as the overall number one seed as of now. Can you believe that? Alabama. That's crazy. The number two overall seed, the Houston Cougars. The number three overall seed, it was the Purdue Boilermakers. And rounding out the top four number one seeds, your reigning, defending, undisputed national champion, Kansas Jayhawks. Alabama was in the South region. Houston was in the Midwest region. Purdue in the East region. And Kansas in the West region. So let's run down each of the brackets, the projected brackets, starting with the Alabama bracket, the South bracket. And this is only projected. This is not the bracket, but this is projected. Alabama is the number one seed in the South region, and they will meet what they have pegged for the 16 seed, the winner of a play-in game between Morehead State and FDU. I think that's Fairleigh Dickinson. I'm not sure. In the 8-9 matchup, number 8 is Nevada. They would go up against number 9 seed Oklahoma State. The number 5 seed is UConn versus 12 seed Oral Roberts. You know, we always talk about those 12-5 matchups. Number 4 seed is the Indiana Hoosiers, squaring off against the number 13 seed Kent State. Number 6 seed, how about this? Northwestern Wildcats. And they're going to be squaring off against a projected play-in game between, how about this for a play-in game? Arkansas and West Virginia. Number 3 seed, the Virginia Cavaliers against number 14 Eastern Washington. Number 7 seed is Missouri against number 10 seed Rutgers. And then the number 2 seed, the Baylor Bears, against number 15 seed Samford. Not exactly the most attractive bracket, if I'm going to be honest with you. But, Bama definitely has it easy in the first couple of rounds. But if they run into UConn's going to give them major fits. I will tell you that right now, if this holds up. But a very interesting bracket, to say the very least. So MF, you heard the matchups for the South region. How you heard those projections, including a very surprised number one overall seed in Alabama. So you heard the matchups. How does that projected South bracket strike you?
That South bracket is, if you really think about it, it's an eye opener. I thought the South bracket looked pretty solid. It was pretty good. Do I think that it's the biggest thing out there? No, not necessarily. But at the end of the day, I think they're going to do a very good job. I think this is going to be a very good matchup. And like you said, with everything that was riding in that first round, it's really going to be very opening to see how they play it. I think they're going to do. It's going to be very good. Um, like I said, a number of ways that this could go. So I like the bracket. And like you said, with Alabama at number one, if UConn is there, boy, that's gonna be some interesting fun because UConn's got a pedigree and everything else. Of former national champions themselves, and their team is peaking at the right time. So, I mean, that's going to be a tough out, to say the very least. So, we'll see. So, yeah, Florio, it's yours. Let's get on to the next bracket.
which is the Midwest bracket. Number one seed there is Houston. They will be squaring off against, well, these are projected only, mind you. Projected number 16 versus Houston will be UNC Asheville as the 16. Here's an interesting 8-9 matchup, a Big Ten ACC matchup, which I know how much MF you love that. Number eight seed, projected number 8 seed Iowa. Number 9 projected seed NC State. Iowa and NC State. Nice little Big Ten ACC matchup there. In the 12-5 matchup, number 5 seed is the Miami Hurricanes against number 12 Utah Valley. Number 4 seed is Xavier out of the Big East against number 13 UC Irvine. Number 6 TCU squaring off. Here's an interesting 6-11 matchup. Number 6 seed is TCU versus number 11 seed Wisconsin. Number 3 seed the Tennessee Volunteers against number 14 seed Kennesaw State. Number 7 Maryland Terrapins, tournament veterans, of course, against number 10 seed FAU, Florida Atlantic, and the number 2 seed, the Texas Longhorns, against the number 15 seed Youngstown State. All right, MF, projected Midwest bracket. What stands out?
Dude, that's a group of death. Did you just hear what you just said? Texas, Tennessee, and Houston all together? Whoa. That's some beef. And then you got a couple of standouts from the ACC, NC State, Miami. Trust me, Miami's no slouch either. They put a whooping on Duke not too long ago, and
boy, did they.
Yeah, so that bracket is a murder bracket. But the thing is, if you're Houston, you're thinking, all right, that's a tough bracket, but we got a team that can make a Final Four run. They were a number one team in the nation earlier in the year, not too long ago. They were number one, ranked number one. And I really believe that they have turned it around. Houston used to be a team that not many people talked about. They really didn't get that much love for them back then. But now Houston is really turning it around, and they're starting to look like the years of that 5 slammer jammer when they had Akeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler on the squad for all those years where they were making runs at the national championship. I feel like this could be that year where they not only make a run, I could see Houston in the Final Four. They're that good.
Definitely.
So, no doubt in my mind, if they keep doing what they're doing and if they keep playing the way they're playing, I think we could see them at the end in the Final Four. Oh, by the way, the Final Four is in Houston.
That's right.
It's at Allegiant NRG Stadium. Imagine that. Houston in their hometown with their fans in that facility.
They're the favorites.
I think not only are they the favorites, but I think they could be cutting down the nets as the national champions. So
on Monday, April 3rd.
On Monday, April 3rd. So we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to dissect. We're not there yet. So just hold the phones, folks. But yeah, so that's what I would say. So nothing more to say. Florio, is yours.
Yeah, Houston definitely. I mean, yeah, that's definitely a group of death there, MF. No question about it in this projected bracket. Houston, I think they would get out of that first group there. Um, if they end up running into Miami, but don't sleep on Xavier either. Don't sleep on Xavier. Xavier's a
No,
good team.
Xavier's pretty good. Xavier's pretty good.
Ask me how good they are. Uh, bracket. I mean, Tennessee and Texas. I think those are the two teams to beat. I mean, that's a tough matchup to call, but thankfully this is only a projected bracket, so it's a very interesting bracket to say the very least. But like MF said, if Houston gets to Houston in the Final Four, they very well could easily be cutting down the nets come Monday night, April the 3rd. So, and by the way, it's on the mothership. So, yeah. So, all right, let's go down the East bracket, and I'm going to tell you right now, MF, out of all the brackets that I've seen, I think this is the most intriguing of the brackets right here. Starting with the number one seed in that bracket in the East region. Oh, by the way, the East Regional Final is going to the East Regionals and the Regional Final, Madison Square Garden.
Like you needed any more added fuel to the fire on that one.
I think you and I are going to be fighting to the death to see who's going to call that one.
Yeah.
We have separate teams. MF's got the A team. I've got the B team. So, and then I do I'm the setup guy when it comes to the Final Four and the national championship. But all right. But anyway, so these are the matchups, projected matchups in the East bracket. The number one seed in that bracket is the Purdue Boilermakers, and they'll be meeting the 16 seed winner of a play-in game, a projected playoff game between Alcorn State and Howard. Interesting 8-9 matchup here. The number 8 seed, the Pittsburgh Panthers out of the ACC, against another tournament veteran as the number 9 seed, the Memphis Tigers. Pittsburgh and Memphis. Interesting 8-9 matchup. Now, this is a true 12-5 matchup. The number 5 seed, St. Mary's out of the WCC, going up against the 12 seed, Southern Miss. Number 4 seed, Marquette out of the Big East, going up against number 13 seed, Bradley. Good news, MF. Your Dukies actually made the line, but this number is very, very low, especially by those Dookie standards. Duke is projected to be the number 6 seed, only the 6 in the East. And they don't have an easy opponent. They're going to the number 11 seed. Projected matchup: Duke versus USC.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh.
How about that?
Yeah.
Number 3 seed is Iowa State going up against number 14 seed Iona. Okay, I don't know if this matchup's going to hold. There's a small part of me that's hoping it does. But if it does, we're looking at the most intriguing 7-10 matchup of all time. This has more of an 8-9 feel to this one. The number 7 seed, the Providence College Friars, the PC Friars. They're projected as the number 7 seed. MF, the number 10 seed, Kentucky.
Whoa! Ho, 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 ho. Well.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, sir. And rounding it out, the number 2 seed is UCLA against the number 15 seed, Vermont Catamounts. So, yeah.
I mean, imagine that second round matchup. Okay, think about this.
That's mine. That's all mine, baby.
Yeah, no, I'm not even gonna fight that one. That one that's a dunzo. I know I lost that bet.
That bottom half and wherever it ends up. Oh.
Yeah, but think about this. If that's the 4, because obviously UCLA, they'll beat Vermont. Okay, fine.
Easy.
But think about this. UCLA and Kentucky or UCLA versus Providence in round 2.
Win-win either way.
That's a matchup in itself. If it's UCLA and Kentucky, oh my God. I will be killing you for that spot. I would be fighting you for that spot. Because
I'd also be fighting you for your legendary powder blue blazer.
I mean,
Come on now.
yeah, you definitely. I'm gonna have to put that in lock and key, and I'm gonna have to. I'm not even gonna keep that powder blue blazer in my house. It's going somewhere else. I am keeping that thing far away from you, Florio. You are not getting that suit. Nope, not a chance. But
Oh no, indeed not. But
but no,
let
but
me let me digest. Let me just dissect this
yeah.
projected
Go
bracket
ahead,
here.
go ahead, go ahead.
Purdue. Well, you are championship run it through the sport. And I got back to but they go nowhere. So Purdue first Big East. So that could give they could be the only team in that upper half to give Purdue fits. The Dukies. I mean, MF. Who succeeded Coach K?
It was okay.
Because
I think
he's because
I
this
think it
is the
was John.
guy.
I think it was John Shire who's the coach now.
Okay, so let me see one moment here. Yeah, you're right. It was John Shire. Yep.
Yep.
Um, of course, Duke. Of course, we keep this. They now they will. This will be their first tournament ever without Coach K. I mean, because as we all know, Coach K announced his retirement, nearly went out a winner, but got tripped up by, of all teams, their most hated rivals, North Carolina, in the Final Four in the Superdome. I mean, a lot of screaming Michael Fletcher moments during that game, and but yeah, the Dukies. They would go up against USC. I think they could get by USC. Iowa State, that would be a tough matchup. But that bottom half of the bracket, though, that's the big one. PC and Kentucky. Could you imagine if that happens? Oh my goodness. Ed Cooley going up against one of the great college basketball coaches of all time, John Calipari. You know, he had those great UMass teams in the late 90s, led Kentucky to a national championship in 2012, nearly did it with Memphis in 2008 before Mario Chalmers broke their hearts with that three heard around the world in the Superdome, or I should say in the Alamo Dome rather. But but PC and Kentucky, oh my God, that is a dream matchup. I would love to see this happen, but we'll have to wait and see. But regardless of who wins that game, I don't think either one. I don't think either one of them gets by UCLA. I don't think so. I think it's a Purdue. I think it's between Purdue and UCLA for who would come out of that bracket if this holds up. But as we all know, these things will very likely change come March 12th in a couple of weeks for Selection Sunday. So MF, looking at that East bracket, I mean, how about it? Both of our teams are in the same bracket. Duke just slightly higher than PC. Duke is a 6 as they begin tournament life without Coach K. And PC, we all know Ed Cooley, what a job he has done with this team, and you know how fun to watch they've been in his tenure. So, but that bottom half of the bracket easily makes it the most compelling of all the brackets here. That bottom line, wow.
Yeah, that bottom line alone makes us feel like, oh my God, this could be something really special, something absolutely amazing. But I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll wait and see how it plays out. All I know is that yeah, I'm very excited with the way that the bracket has broken down, and we'll wait and see how it plays out. But it's going to be very interesting to watch. Is there going to be? Could there be a surprise or two along the way? Absolutely. We'll just have to wait and see. But all I know is that this is going to be this is a hell of a bracket to be in, and yeah, I don't think there's much for us to talk about here. So yeah, if that bottom bracket happens, oh my freaking word, how are we gonna? How? Like you said, me and you are gonna be fighting to the death. So I mean, it's going to be really interesting to watch. But yeah, um, the last time I don't ever remember a time when I think the only time where Duke and Providence were in the same bracket, I believe, was 1997, and that was uh, where
Yeah.
we ended up facing off in the second round. Yes,
Charlotte
PC went
Coliseum.
over. PC went over and made a great run. Got all the way to the Elite Eight and then got tripped up
By the
in the
eventual
Elite
champions.
Eight.
By the eventual champions, Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona took them out. So I mean,
Oh,
yeah. So we'll wait and
over
see
Duke.
how it.
So
Huh?
that PC over Duke in '97 in Charlotte.
Yep. Yep. I remember it. I remember
98.
it very well.
You remember? Yeah, you remember these numbers: 98 to 87.
Yep.
98 to
So
87.
I mean, how's that going to look? How's that going to be? We don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. But I will say this: um, they won't face off against each other until I believe. I
Sometime
don't
in the
think.
sweets, probably around Sweet
It,
16 or
I
Elite
think it'll
8.
be Sweet 16. Yeah, Sweet 16 Elite 8. So I don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you're doing 7, I
it's
think
Duke is the 6, Duke is the 6, and PC's the 7.
yeah, so I believe we wouldn't run into each other until if everything holds
Sweet 16,
until at least the Sweet 16. So yeah, I
and that
mean,
would be and that would be, well, I don't know where that would be, but
well, what region is it? South,
it's the East, so
East,
that would mean
Garden,
Madison. That would mean the Garden.
Garden.
Oh my God,
Yep, Garden.
that would be something. But
Wow.
I
But
forgot
here's
to
the
mention.
problem. But here's the problem. Providence does really, really good in MSG. So does
Yeah,
Duke.
they do.
Duke also does really good in Madison Square Garden.
PC's won
Like,
two. PC won two Big East tournament championships there.
yep, and I
1994 and
do know,
2014.
that a lot of times where Duke plays in MSG, they hardly ever lose in MSG. Because
Against
remember,
St.
we used it,
John's.
huh?
St. John's, right?
Yeah.
But I think they played some like special tournament, like these
There's
special
always been some
tournament
special
games.
tournaments. Yep, there's been some special tournaments in Madison Square Garden, and Duke has won many games
And
in
beat St.
MSG.
John's. And it's also played
Yep.
St. John's too.
Yep.
St. John's, of course, they play some of their games in Madison Square Garden. So the home of the Big East tournament as always. So
Yep.
and we'll be previewing that in a couple weeks when we that'll be on 12, 11. That'll be in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tonight. We'll be doing our preview of the conference tournaments. So
Yep.
looking forward to that. Big East tournament in Madison Square Garden, ACC tournament. So
Greensboro this year.
yes, oh yeah, the heart and soul, the original home where it's hosted so many memorable tournaments. But I forgot to mention the South region for the NCAA tournament. The South regionals are going to be at the KFC Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky. And let me find the other region here. The Houston region, that's the Midwest region. Um, the regionals will be at the T-Mobile Center, formerly the Sprint Center in Kansas City, Missouri. East region, Madison Square Garden. Enough said. And now let's get into our final bracket, which is the West bracket, and that regional will be at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. And of course, as MF mentioned earlier, the national championship, the Final Four on Saturday, April 1st, and the championship game on April 3rd, NRG, formerly Reliant Stadium in Houston, Texas. All right, let's get to the West bracket. Maybe not as sexy as the last bracket, but MF, I'm going to tell you right now, the upper half, especially the 116, 8, 9, get ready for this. Number 1 seed is the Kansas Jayhawks, your reigning defending national champions. They will go up against the number 16 seed projected Northwestern State. Out of all the 8-9 matchups projected, MF, this is easily the most intriguing. Number 8 seed, Michigan State. Michigan State Spartans, Tom Izzo and company. We know about their history. And who's the number 9 seed? How about Auburn? How about Michigan State and Auburn in an 8-9 matchup? Number 5 seed is Creighton out of the Big East. They would go up against the 12 seed Charleston. Number 4 seed Gonzaga. Very low seeding for Gonzaga, especially by their standards. And they're going up against a team that won the hearts of all of us back in when they made their incredible Cinderella run back in 2011. I'm talking about VCU. Remember VCU? They're going up against projected Gonzaga. Number 6 projected is San Diego. Right. The projected matchups. Kansas obviously gets by Northwestern State, but could you imagine a possible second rounder with Kansas and Michigan State? That's another MF special. MF, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Yep. All right. I thought I lost you for a minute. All
No,
right.
no, no.
Okay. Did you hear all those matchups
Yes.
for the West
Well,
bracket?
you cut it in a little bit in and out, but I got the logistics of it. Yeah.
All right. So Kansas obviously gets by that first matchup, but could you imagine if we get it in the second round, Kansas and Michigan State, another MF special for you?
Yeah, that'd be a great matchup, no doubt about it.
So how does the West look to you projected?
Oh, well, Wes, like you said, not as stacked or not as amazing as the first one was, but I still believe it'll be a pretty good tournament. I think it'll be pretty good. So, no, I think it's a solid bracket, and I really got nothing more to add. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Three teams easily stand out: Kansas, Arizona, Gonzaga. It's a 3-team race if this holds up. Kansas, the defending champions. Gonzaga, we know how great they've been over the last few years, all those 1 seeds they had in the past few years. And Arizona, another former champion and another powerhouse. Those are easily the 3 teams to watch for. But that Michigan State Auburn is easily the most attractive 8-9. And if it's Michigan State and Kansas, that's an MF special, and that would be something if that happens. But those are the projected matchups as of right now. So obviously, all of that can change, and very likely will change when we get to the selection show on March 12th. So with that, will put a bow on this edition of TXN Sports World. Once again, I would like to apologize for for that major hiccup early in the show. I apologize for that, but at least we got it in, so I'm grateful for that. So hopefully everything will be much better tomorrow night. But anyways, we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in and for dealing with the little difficulty, the little snafu on my end. Apologies again on that. So, but everything is good to go here. So with that, we move on to tomorrow night, Cerebral Smack Talk, hosted by good old MF Michael Fletcher on his channel, Brace Fan 95. Friday Night SmackDown, AEW Rampage, back in our traditional time of 11 p.m. for right now, unless we have any more special times in the future. And then on, and MF, you'll also be previewing the RWA Renegade Rumble in your Mikey's Mindset.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, looking forward to that because we're all going to be there, so I can't wait for that. So, all right, so that'll be on tomorrow night. And then Monday night, Ridiculously Raw, right back here on the Tone 25. Monday Night Raw as we continue the road to WrestleMania 39. And my special Tony's Take, where I will review and give you the results of the No Surrender special that's going down tomorrow night on Impact Plus, Fight TV, and Ultimate Insiders on YouTube. Wednesday Night Madness, hosted by MF. NXT and AEW Dynamite as always, and then from there, next week TXN Sports World. As of right now, it's only the XFL, but we'll if any significant stories come in, we'll add them to the docket. If not, we could end up having a short show next week. So, all right. So with that, that'll put the ball on this edition of TXN Sports World. Thank you all so very much for tuning in, and until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, it's Anthony Florio here for Good LMF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit Michael Bullock, and of course always and forever Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up, Fortune Force style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday, and until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk. You've been watching TXN Sports World right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, long. Bye, everybody. Bye.